Welcome back to Booster Therapy, your cure for that pack Kraken addiction. We are here with another video of the top 10 commons for the limited format for the newest set that's about to release or pre-release this weekend, War of the Spark. And I will start off by saying this set has so much power in every slot. It was hard to narrow down just 10, and you're going to see that I cheated on a couple with cards that ultimately end up being pretty similar to one another or have a similar mechanic, and we're looking to benefit from it in a very similar way. But remember the acronym BREAD when drafting. I don't want anybody to take these cards necessarily over some of the traditional means of drafting, the things that are valuable, but I will argue this: the number one card on my list, I would say, might even be a pack one, pick one, really depending on what's there. But bread, if you don't know what that means, to revisit that, is bombs, removal, evasion, aggro, and duds. And it's kind of the value system you should be using when you're analyzing your pack and picking what's going to do the most for you, what's going to give you the best return in the draft. So let's dive into this. Make a quick video here today, just diving through those top 10 cards, the ones that are going to do the most for you in your pre-release this weekend and drafts going forward as you continue to draft War of the Spark. The first one on my list, number 10, is Trusted Pegasus. These cards usually find their way into an uncommon spot, but sometimes have been common, and they are just an incredibly effective way of evading your opponents and getting through to do the damage needed to win the game. So Trusted Pegasus is 2 colorless and a white for flying. Whenever Trusted Pegasus attacks, target attacking creature without flying gains flying until end of turn. And it's a 2/2. So already, a 2/2 flying for 3, not too bad. But the fact that you can also lift up another creature and get through with some of those big baddies just makes it that much more effective. And again, if we're looking at that acronym BREAD, evasion is one of the earlier things to be thinking about on how you're building your deck. The next one is my first opportunity to cheat a little bit here. It's Thunder Drake and Spellgorger Weird. I'm excited this time that in my top 10 I have creatures fitting, because there are some powerful common creatures in this set. These two really help us benefit a little bit more from that proliferate that we're likely to be using a lot of with the planeswalkers that we're playing in this set. A lot of these decks, you're going to find yourself running 3, 4, 5 planeswalkers and looking for ways to proliferate. And these two cards really benefit a ton from that activity. So Thunder Drake is 3 colorless and a green, or a blue. It is flying. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a 1/1 counter on Thunder Drake, and then it's a 2/3 body when it comes in. Spellgorger Weird is 2 colorless and a red. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1/1 counter on Spellgorger Weird, and it comes in as a 2/2. So the bodies are already pretty strong for the mana cost, but being able to benefit from all of that 1/1 counter generation and then proliferating off that. I mean, really, you only need these guys to almost go off once to really expand on what you're going to do with them, and both of them are likely to go off way more than once on top of the proliferating that you're going to do, especially the Spellgorger Weird, where half the time when you're proliferating, it's coming from a spell that is non-creature, and it's pushing you further and further and further ahead. And again, both of these are common cards that you're going to see a great deal of when you're passing those packs around. The next one I have on my list is Vivians Grizzly. For 2 colorless and a green, you get a 2/3 Bear Spirit that you can pay 3 and a green to look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put that card into your hand, put it on the bottom of your library. So later in the game, this is just a nice mana sink to start diving through your deck and finding those big creatures or planeswalkers that will hopefully steal the show for you, push you all the way ahead, and find that win. So it's just an incredibly effective card to dig deep on and get the answers you need to find in order to win that game. And 2/3 body for that 3 is also not bad. So it's so valuable at the cost that you're paying to get into this. The next one on my list is going to be another moment to cheat. It's Unlikely Aid and Giant Growth. So Unlikely Aid for 1 colorless and a black, an instant, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. And then Giant Growth, I'm sure we're all familiar with this one, is 1 green, it's an instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. So I love cards like this, cards that kind of serve a dual purpose. One, they can be effective removal spells, where you're pushing it in there when you've assigned your blockers and taking out one of your opponent's big creatures that they didn't expect to lose. And they're also just great spells to save a creature. You know, you have somebody slipping in and doing 4 damage to an attacking creature or something like that. You can kind of hold back on these things to keep your creature alive and stay effective and stay threatening while you're moving in and putting those attacks on. So it serves a dual purpose. Both of these kind of similar. I mean, Unlikely Aid is slightly better. Being able to make something indestructible at instant speed for very low mana cost is almost always a great choice. Giant Growth is such a similar effect, though. I wanted to include them both. They both share an equal value for what they're doing. The next card that's coming up on my list is a little bit of mana fixing and a little bit of ramp. It's the Mana Geode. For 3 colorless, this artifact, when it enters the battlefield, you get to scry 1, so already an effective ETB, but then it taps to add 1 mana of any color. So with this set, I have a feeling we're going to get into a lot of situations where you're playing 2 colors and at least splashing a 3rd color, or a lot of times where you might be going and committing equally to 3 different colors. There's so much power across the way, and there's a lot of really powerful removal spells that I could see people not necessarily playing that color but needing to splash a great deal to get there. Mana Geode does a great job at doing that. Again, it ramps you for those 3 colorless mana, similar to any other mana rock would, but you're also getting to scry 1 with it, which is just so valuable. I mean, getting to take that peek and set up your future for a little bit more, setting up your future to be a little bit more effective is going to be key to winning a lot of matches, and being able to tap right away to add 1 mana of any color is just, you know, icing on the cake. The next one I have here is our first removal spell. It's the Wanderer's Strike. So for 4 colorless and a white, this sorcery says exile target creature, then proliferate. You're going to see that being a theme in the next couple cards, is proliferating. We need to be playing this mechanic. There's really good creatures that have a body when it ETBs, it proliferates, which is great. But having a spell like this that is a little expensive, but it exiles a creature, so it makes sure it doesn't trigger any sort of death triggers like amassing or, you know, any of the other ones that could go out there. It's gonna avoid that, completely wipe the thing from the board, and then it's gonna let you proliferate to build up your planeswalkers, your weirds, anything that's getting these 1/1 counters. It really just helps you take that step forward and get, you know, pull further away from your opponents. The next card on my list is Contentious Plan. This is an incredibly effective card. For 1 colorless and a blue, this sorcery says proliferate and draw a card. So it's a very low mana cost to proliferate. If it did that just by itself, it'd still be pretty good, not great. But this replaces itself too. So think of things like Tezzeret's Gambit. It has a similar feel to that, a little bit slower, but also less mana. You're getting to proliferate, and then you're getting to draw a card to replace it, and hopefully have another action happen within that turn. And if you think of it that way, for 2 mana, you could trigger things like Thundermaw Drake. You're getting to draw that card, play another spell, so it's the second spell of your turn, and getting to add that 1/1 counter. It's just doing a lot for you. So number 3 on my list, next card up, is Jayas Greeting. For a colorless and a red, this instant deals 3 damage to target creature and then scry 1. As always, removal is going to be high on my list. It's just powerful. And a card like this for 2 mana that's an instant that not only can take out a creature, but also scries to, again, set your future up to be a little bit stronger is so good. I mean, this one is hard to not take early in a lot of situations. It just does so much for you, and it's pretty easy to splash into if you're not playing red. Number 2 on my list is Spark Harvest. For 1 black, this sorcery says, as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature or pay 3 more colorless and a black. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. With so many creatures having a death trigger of a mass, we're not worried about sacrificing a creature, and late in the game, we wouldn't even have to if we had the mana to pay for this. So this thing has so much utility within it. It's either 1 mana for an early answer to a planeswalker that is just a problem for us, or a creature that is a problem, or late in the game we don't have to sacrifice a creature, we can pay the 5 total mana and destroy either one of those things. So being able to destroy both a creature and a planeswalker and doing it for 1 mana is insane. I can't believe this card is a common. It is so strong, and I have a hard time thinking that this isn't an early pick. Honestly, pack 1, pick 1, I could see this being one of the cards that you should grab very early on. There'd have to be a pretty big bomb for me to not take this card. And again, easy to splash. I mean, 1 black is easy to splash for removal. That brings me to my number 1 choice, and that's going to be Ob Nixilis's Cruelty. For 2 colorless and a black, this instant says target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. If that creature would die, exile it instead. This is a crazy card for a common. You know, I think of the cards in the past that have done similar things have always been on common or better, and they've been some of the most expensive cards in that spot within the set. You know, thinking of things like Dismember and other cards in that flavor, this fits the bill. 2 colorless and a black, instant, -5/-5, and again, this has that added bonus of exiling the creature, so again, it avoids any sort of death trigger and really takes it out of the threat space completely. You're never going to get this back from your graveyard. Ob Nixilis's Cruelty is just so strong. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this brief review for my top 10 commons for the limited format for War of the Spark. I hope this helps you in preparing for your pre-release weekend and any draft going beyond that. This set looks like it's going to be one of the funnest sets I have seen in a long time for Standard. This is so powerful. The only thing to worry about is if that creep gets too high, that power creep. But this looks to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping this helps you all out. Thank you so much for tuning in to Booster Therapy. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Feel free to share us out with the world. It helps to get our name out there. If you're looking for other ways to support the channel, there's a link in the description. Click on that to become a patron, and head out to nobleknight.com. Supporting them helps to support us. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend.